Nothing? And we'll go on to council reports, beginning with Councilmember Cardoza, please.
All righty, we've had an exciting 3 weeks since our last meeting. I'm going to start off with meetings. Attended the Yuba City Transit Authority meeting, the Regional Housing Authority meeting, the Sutter Community Affordable Housing meeting, our Yuba City Homeless Consortium, their Feather River Air Quality Management District, the CDBG Ad Hoc Committee meeting. I couldn't attend the Ambassadors Chamber meeting this last month due to a closed session here at the council. I'm going to go to city and community events. I was out with our Yuba City Police Department. Great staff of men and women at our sobriety checkpoint on Bridge Street last time. With that street being redone, there's quite a bit of traffic going down Bridge Street between 10 and 2 in the morning these days. I attended the 10th annual Arrest Luau, and for the folks that don't know what REST is, the REST Foundation folks are the ones that help keep the homeless in shelters during the winter, keep them warm, keep them out of the environment. I commit with Council Member Shaw and the mayor. I attended the community prayer gathering here at City Hall grounds and had 10 churches give their blessings to us. I attended the Golden Valley Auto Body impromptu car show last Friday night. Got people out in the community. They did a wonderful job. Everybody had fun. We had, the mayor and I had 2 forums that we attended the last couple of weeks. One, we'd like the Yuba City Chamber of Commerce, and the second was the Feather River Tea Party. And I also had a radio interview with 93Q, and then attended the farmers markets. And then an update for the farmers markets. The town center will be closing here on October 17th, and the museum will stay open until October 28th. And that's it for me. Thank you.
And thank you. And Councilmember Espandola.
Thank you. So I'll start with, I did also get to attend the community prayer.
Oh,
and
didn't see
no,
you.
yeah, I was social distancing and wearing my mask, so I was way in the back. What a beautiful event. It was really well organized and put together, I really thought. And listening to all the different prayers that they provided, it was really meaningful. So I really appreciate us doing that in our community. So then also, we met with the ad hoc committee that Councilman Cardoza spoke of with Ben Moody and Jaspreet, and we're working on the CDBG ad hoc to put the process together. So we'll be bringing that forward to the council here in the near future, hopefully to help us gauge that process better. And continuing to work with our youth commission, we are working on the campaign for this COVID-19 that is continuing to impact us in the community. And so we're hopefully bringing something together with our youth commission to provide some messaging for the younger community members to practice some health guidelines and precautions that are so much needed. In particular with communities of color, the numbers are much higher. The need of understanding this is greater, to know that, social gatherings without having clear practices could literally take your life. I also want to acknowledge that this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And having, I think now, 5 in my family who are breast cancer survivors, in particular my mom, is really meaningful to know that it's important for women and men to get checked. It's a routine exam, but it could literally save your life. I'm going to talk a little bit about a personal situation because I'm not bringing this up to make it a decisive or divisive conversation. And, you know, people have feelings about and their thoughts about COVID, and I respect that. I don't think that anyone really expected for any of this to happen, and it's happening. So I had an aunt who passed away from other complications in August, and she was in her 80s, so she lived a pretty full life, thankfully. So our family decided to have a funeral, obviously, from her passing, and my family, my immediate family, decided we chose not to go to the funeral because we wanted to protect our mom, because my mom has very fragile health. And so in that, of her children, adult children, all went, and many other people went. And my cousin, one of my dear, dear cousin, 54, his name's Sergio Espindola, and he passed away from COVID-19. And our family is suffering a lot of sorrow from this. And I'm saying to you that they didn't practice social distancing. They didn't practice wearing the mask. Some of them did, some of them didn't. And in this, a man, a 54-year-old, relatively healthy individual, his life was taken. He was hospitalized for 4 weeks. What he leaves behind, or what he started and now the family will carry forward, is he had his own business. He had a small business. He worked for another company. He has 4 children. He has a wife who's fighting breast cancer at this moment herself. And so when you add those complexities on top of everything else, and when someone says to you, and I'm an elected official, and I get it, I get to hear from all angles, and I accept it. But when someone says to you, this is not real, this is not happening, and my family it's happening to them. And so I just share to all of you, practice what you think is important for you and your family and around you. But I can say firsthand that I know COVID-19 is real. And I know that the circumstances that probably could have saved his life is everyone wearing their mask and social distancing at that funeral. The funeral was August 15th. My cousin died on September 27th. It was that quick. And I know we all have different opinions about it, and I'm sharing it from my perspective. And another grand person that is no longer with us, but I end with this quote: "Women belong in all places where decisions are being made. May she rest in power, Ruth Bader Ginsburg." Thank you.
Okay. I'm very sorry for your loss of your cousin, and best wishes to his wife. Sir.
You expect me to follow that, Mr. Mayor?
I'm not going to ask you to beat
No,
it.
I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Grace, our condolences to you, and you're definitely right. COVID is real. We can't ignore that part, and we all have to use, like you said, the common sense God gave us to do what's best. And so definitely condolences to you. I was trying to lighten the mood and get the mayor here, so oblige me. But so anyway, my last few weeks have been rather busy with committees and a lot of ad hoc committees. So first of all, back to Yuba City Transit. We did meet. One of the few things that's coming out of that is in the next few weeks, I believe at our next, either this next meeting coming up next week or the one following, we are supposed to start having potential sites released for the future home of Yuba Center Transit. They've been doing a site study now for several months, and they're supposed to be bringing us back potentially, I believe it was 5, Mr. Cardoza, that they were bringing us. So we will have that coming forward. Regional Waste Management Authority has been silent, but they have been working on what the future of the Regional Waste Management Authority is going to look like. And with that, I have a meeting with Mr. Martin and next week to start going over that as we meet next week and start looking at what the future of the RWMA is going to look like, whether it's going to be a JPA or back to the cities or whatnot. So that is coming up. Been working on the Bogue Stewart Master Plan. I think that we have finally taken at least a small step forward there, Mr. Vice Mayor, in that. I say that with optimism, hoping that we can get this done. I cannot stress enough that the city, the county has missed out for years because of lack of housing. And it is imperative that that we really come together and get this done. I made that very clear at our last meeting that we've missed the boat, and every day that we sat here, we are missing opportunities for our community to grow, to meet the needs in the housing element, to make Yuba City more attractive to people that want to call this their home. As we talked earlier with GSEC, people are leaving the metropolitan cities and they're moving to the rural area. We have to have housing. And when I say housing, I mean all housing. We have to have affordable housing, duplexes, apartments, all the way up to gated communities. It's not one or the other, it's all. And all of those people are welcome here in our community. Further ad hocs, we've been working on the development impact fee. Took that into the next. Vice Mayor and myself had a great meeting, I think, with Sabufka. And we're walking that forward, getting a better understanding there. We'll be meeting with them and getting the full committee back shortly to finish addressing the rest of the fees that our developers and our home builders are having to pay. And then, of course, as you've already heard, we've been working on the ad hoc for the city manager recruitment. So a lot been going on in the last few weeks. And with that, I will turn it over to you, Mr. Mayor.
Very busy. Vice Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Condolences from Karen and I. I know it's a tough situation. I know I can sense how deeply you feel for the loss of your cousin. So, I try to stay out of politics. So I'm going to deliver this one message, and it is not intended to be anything political. But I have paid attention to our city council race as of late. And there seems to be some sort of a thread of we're operating without a city manager, and the city is somehow harmed by that. And so I'm going to take an opportunity to acknowledge Diana Langley, who has stepped up not only once but twice to competently, effectively, efficiently lead this city through this time as we go through the recruitment for another city manager. So if anyone out there believes that the city has been floundering because we haven't had a city manager, I vehemently disagree with that. And again, I just want to thank you for doing two jobs as our Public Works Director and as our city manager, interim city manager. That being said, I want to thank Councilman Cardoza for, on a moment's notice, stepping in to take my spot with the interviews. I had something come up at work, and thank you, Manny. The Youth Commission and the mayor touched on this. The interviews, just outstanding young people. Some as young as freshmen that obviously have a heck of a lot of promise, and some that are seniors in high school. But really, really impressive. And we also interviewed some folks for Personnel Board, and I believe they're going through background at this point. As Councilman Shaw mentioned, we did have a master tax exchange agreement meeting. This has been a process that's been going on for a while. I do think we got some traction, and I do think that, again, I've said this a few times, I think we're closer. I think actually the finish line is within reach. And I think, as Councilman Shaw mentioned, it is in the best interest of the city and the county to get this done as quickly as possible. And I'm hopeful that that will happen. Again, Councilman Shaw mentioned the meeting with Sabufka. City's currently charging a development impact fee for levies. Everyone that's in the city is also paying a fee through Sabufka for levee improvements. So this was a discussion, the beginning of a discussion with Sabufka to discuss, what do they need on a go-forward basis? Is what we've been collecting on their behalf something they need to carry on? What other projects are in the pipeline? So they'll be coming back to a subsequent meeting and reporting back. Very congenial, very collaborative type of a meeting. And the ad hoc city manager, this is a very important process. We're stepping through it with a lot more vigilance and taking into consideration what our knocking the water off. Didn't get you wet though, did I? Darn it. A lot more vigilance, and very appreciative of the feedback and the work that the recruiting firm is doing so far. We're not taking this lightly at all. And finally, I would like to congratulate Sierra again. It looks like we're going to be seeing a lot more of you, and that's a good thing too. So with that, Mr. Mayor, I'll turn it back to you.
All right, thank you. All right, I'm going to get to what went through that hasn't already been mentioned here. I will take the time to congratulate Sierra, obviously, and of course, echo emphatically what Vice Mayor said about Diana's performance. Very, very good, very confident, a lot of trust, a lot of competency, a lot of skill, a lot of experience there. And so I thank you again, Diana. Been attending, of course, the weekly COVID conference calls. I think I did miss one. Very informative, and we're all on both sides of the river, electeds and other folks participating in that, trying to get us to where we want to be, and we mentioned that earlier today. The SACOG had another meeting for them. They finalized their funding round. The vast majority of the board went with the remaining primarily a competitive process rather than a formula based on population primarily. And basically that's how we get money. They did a PSA at the fire department for a code red system, did a little video there for the fire chief promoting that system for emergency alerts. So if anybody has not done that, I highly encourage you to go on the fire department's website and sign up for that. They did a test, in which I think was a successful test, at least it was for me, and I'm not technological, and I got the email and I got a text and something else. 3 things. A phone call, all 3, and so it worked really well. And we already talked about the boards and commissions interviews. That was a 2-day process. And the EDC, we had a meeting with our Yuba City Economic Development Commission right here in this room, trying to see what we can do to tap their expertise and their opinions and what they can bring to the table as a part of the bigger picture for economic development in Yuba City. One takeaway that we had from that was it was a idea of a member of the EDC actually, and they're going to take the business license, a list of all the business licenses in Yuba City, start with the businesses that are most vulnerable, determined to be in the most vulnerable positions due to COVID, and just have a personal telephone call from them or perhaps from staff, and we're all going to kind of spread the wealth a little bit just to check in with the businesses and let them know that we care and how are they been affected and how we might be able to help them out as a gesture. So that's one step in the right direction. Everything else has already been discussed, and we've had about a half hour longer than I was kind of guessing. Tom, did you have public comment? I'd like to ask one question. Yes. Sure, go ahead.
I was concerned about what the speed limit was going to be on the new Bridge Street project. Has anybody thought about that?
It'll most likely be posted 35 miles per hour.
Okay, thank you. And I do want to say one thing politically. If you're running for city council, you ought to at least come to the council meeting. So that's what I think.
There you go. All right, that being said, we are adjourned. Thank you all for coming, and for those in the online as well. Thank you.